Okay, so question 1 and part 2 now. So using the data provided, which team has the greatest variation in the number of caps that their players have received? Justify your answer using statistical reasoning. Okay, so when we're talking about caps and variation, we're talking about two sort of things. We can talk about variation in terms of your total range, or we can talk about variation in terms of your interquartile range. So really the difference is looking at variation in terms of from maximum to minimum, or variation just looking at the middle 50%. So there's two answers that you could give for this, but one answer is kind of worth more and the other answer just we haven't obviously delved as deep. So let's just have a look at the achieved answer for this. Now we can look at the range for both of these. So the range for Australia, now the range is your maximum minus your minimum, is so max minus min. And for this one, that is 129, so you can get that number here, so you can be more exact, minus 55. And that equals 74. Okay, now the range for New Zealand, so if we look at the New Zealand range, that is equal to 148, so 148 minus 55, and that is equal to 93. Okay, so on the face of it, it looks like New Zealand's range is bigger. And so therefore you can make some sort of argument that New Zealand has more variation. Okay, now if you gave that answer, that would definitely give you an achieve for that mark. Now the reason that that answer isn't as good as the next one that I'm going to show you is because range is strongly affected by things like these outliers. Okay, so this outlier in New Zealand, which really pulls that variation for range out, it's the only one that is sitting up there. The next one that we can see is sitting just under 120. And same with New Zealand, really, Australia, we've got this one that's sitting out there and then these two as well. Whereas the bulk of the data really seems to be sitting down here. The bulk of the data for Australia and New Zealand seems to be sitting down here. So this is why for this particular case, probably looking at the interquartile range is a little bit of a better idea. So if we look at the interquartile range, so remember that's the middle 50%, where the bulk of it, the middle 50% of the data is, and where most of the data is sitting anyways. Most of it's spread here anyways. So that probably is going to give us a better indication. So the interquartile range for Australia, we've already done, and that is 27. And the interquartile range for New Zealand is equal to this minus this. So 82 minus 60, and that is equal to 22. And that shows us that actually Australia has more variation. So if you answer that Australia is more variable, and just kind of make some argument that the middle 50% is a better sort of judge of variation here. Due to the maxes pulling the data in the range. Okay, so because of these, this is probably a better indication of variation. Now, if you answered in this case that Australia is more variable, then that would, because of the interquartile range, that would give you the merit mark for that. If you answered both, or if you said both, as long as you sort of gave this argument here, it would be okay, but they definitely want you to give an actual answer here. So please make sure that you pick a country. Okay.